everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about my best tips and tricks for covering breakouts. You can see that my skin is clearly not happy with me right now. It's just a combination of travel, work, stress, and it also being that time of the month. So I want to show you exactly how I go about covering up the marks while still keeping that natural glowy skin finish. So let's get into it. The first thing I'm doing is adding some primer to my skin. If you have just done your skincare routine, you definitely don't need to do this. But because it's actually been about 2 hours since I first did my skincare routine, I feel like I need to add a fresh layer of hydration to my skin. And I know that if you're breaking out, skin prep doesn't really feel that important. But usually when I'm breaking out, I will use products that have some acids in it, like a BHA, AHA, something to help calm down my skin and help exfoliate my skin at a deeper level. And because of that, my skin will usually get quite dry, especially around my breakouts. And when you're covering breakouts, you want a very smooth surface. You don't want flaky skin. So adding a bit of hydration to my skin will help prevent that. Now I'm using this Blur concealer. This is from Tarte. It's the Shape Tape Blur. And I'm just putting this under my eyes and also just in the areas where I have a bit of redness. I am also just going to go over the areas where I have some breakouts. Because my breakouts aren't actually active right now, I can use my concealer to just go over top of it directly. But if your breakouts are more active, then I highly recommend putting it out onto your hand first or picking it up with a brush before directly putting it on your skin, just so you're not spreading that bacteria around on your skin. And now I'm just blending in the concealer with a small concealer brush. What I like about this concealer is that it has a very blurring finish, so it really helps to smooth out any texture on my skin, and it has a decent amount of coverage, so it's going to help hide some of the redness and the discoloration that my breakouts bring to my skin. And then I'm gonna add a tiny bit more right here on top of my nose because I missed that. I have a pimple here and I usually don't break out on my nose. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just putting it there. So once the skin tone is evened out with the concealer, now you can add a little bit more dimension and color to your face. So I'm gonna go in with this Rare Beauty liquid contour. I'm just gonna do one dot here and here, and then I'm going to blend it out. This is just going to help sculpt the face a little bit more. I'm not necessarily trying to warm up my skin. I think by creating dimension, you can kind of disguise some of the blemishes that are on your skin, because if your face is just one color and there are certain breakouts here and there, I think that kind of draws more attention to it. But if you do your normal makeup steps, like adding blush, adding bronzer, highlight, I feel like that really helps to distract the eye. I'm also gonna do a little bit of nose contour and then I'm gonna blend it out just like that. I feel like that just brings life to my skin. And then now I'm gonna be using a glowy blush. And I know glowy blush and breakouts, I feel like those are two words that don't really go together, but I'll show you how to use glowy blush in a way that won't accentuate any texture on your cheeks. So what I'm doing is picking up the product with a brush and then blending it onto my skin. I feel like this way you get a much more even application. The color won't be patchy and you can apply it exactly where you want it. I have a breakout right here in the front part of my cheeks, but I am still going over it with this glowy blush. I'm adding some to my nose, even though I have a breakout on my nose too. I feel like my skin just immediately looks healthier, and we haven't even covered up the breakouts yet. Before we do that, I'm actually gonna add a little more highlighter, and I am just putting this on the top parts of my cheeks, and then I'm also blending it out with the same blush brush, and I'm just focusing this on the top part. And even if you have a breakout right on the top part of your cheeks, you can still do this and then go in with a spot concealer. So I'm gonna be using a concealer pencil today. I'm gonna be using this Lisa Eldridge one, and all I'm doing is coloring in my spot and then blending it out with my finger. And my best tip for hiding a breakout that is 3D is really focusing the concealer on the bottom part of the texture, Because imagine if something is sticking out like this, if you're looking from a side view, when light casts down on the pimple, this bottom part will be darker and it'll actually accentuate, you know, the texture, the fact that it's sticking out from your skin. But if you color in this bottom part with a light concealer, it will actually kind of neutralize the shadow and make it look less 3D on your skin. That is really my best tip to disguise the fact that it's sticking out from your skin. Same with the ones on my forehead. I'm really just focusing the concealing on the bottom half of it because that will just make everything look a little more flat. And same with the nose. I'm just coloring it in and then blending it out with my finger. If you don't have a concealer pencil, you can definitely use your usual concealer and just dab some of it on your finger and then tap it onto the spots. The pencil just makes it a little bit easier to use, but you can definitely still do the same technique with a normal concealer. Now that all the spots are concealed, you can now go in with powder. I'm going in with this Kosas Cloud Set powder because it's a powder that helps to set your makeup and mattify your skin, but it doesn't make you look flat. There's still a little bit of a radiance to your skin after using this powder, so it makes the finish look way more skin-like and natural. I also like to put it on my jaw, and I like to run this over any areas where I have the concealer. I like to set the concealer just to make sure that it stays in place all day like this. And then this is when I'll go back with my blush. Obviously you can leave it like this on your cheeks if you want, but I like a little bit more of a blushy look, so I always like to go over with a little bit more blush. And even if it picks up some of that concealer that you just put down, you can always go over it again with a little bit of concealer. It's all about layering when it comes to makeup. So this is what I'm doing. So I just colored that in again, disguised it a little bit more on my skin, and you can see I have this glowy finish on the skin. I have breakouts, but you're not noticing my breakouts. And then obviously the rest of your makeup can pretty much stay the same. I'm just doing my brows the way I usually do them, just filling them in slightly and then brushing it out. And then for the eyes, I'm actually keeping things super simple today. I'm not gonna do my usual mascara. I'm actually going to do a coat of this, which is The Ordinary's Lash Curl Finisher. It's my favorite no makeup mascara because it helps to hold a curl, but it's clear, and it also helps to condition your lashes at the same time. So now my lashes are done, and then just to kind of keep it very natural again on the lips, I am lining my lips with this Lisa Eldridge lip pencil in the shade 0N, which is a very neutral shade, so it looks really natural. I'm smushing my lips together, and then I'm gonna add a coat of this gloss. This is the Fenty Gloss Bomb Oil in the shade Fussy, and this is pretty much the finished look. So as you can see, the finish on the skin, again, is very natural. There is a glow that's coming through, but I am breaking out. I have texture on my skin, but these are kind of my best tips and tricks to trick the eye a little bit. I think by adding the blush, the bronzer, the highlight, it really helps to distract the eyes from looking at the texture on the skin. And instead, people are probably going to be admiring how good your skin looks, and the state of your skin will look very healthy. I really hope you guys found these tips and tricks helpful. Let me know if you have any tips to share as well down below, and I will speak to you guys soon. Bye!